In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to use sync points. Sync points are often added to audio or MIDI clips where the downbeat doesn't occur at the beginning of the clip but a little later. This is useful in quantizing because you probably want to quantize to the downbeat, not necessarily the beginning of a clip. Here's a description of sync points from the Pro Tools reference guide. And I have an example here that has a clip. Right now this clip is not at the session tempo. So let's first line up the tempo of the session to the clip. Let's listen. Okay, so I will use Beat Detective to deduce the tempo of this clip. I know it is 8 beats long and I want it to start on measure 2. So first I will analyze, and then I will state where I want it from bar 2 to bar 4, bar beat marker generation, and I'll generate. And I see it's at this tempo here. Okay, I think I'll make my entire session at this tempo. So I'm going to add and say right from bar 1, please be at this tempo. Okay, let's see if our clip lines up with the metronome. Good. So the clip tempo and the metronome seem to be at the same speed, but they're not occurring at the same time. Listen for the little flam or doubled note effect of the metronome against especially the snare drum sound. Hear that little delay in the snare drum sound. This is where the sync point becomes really helpful. So I'm going to zoom in on my clip. And you'll notice that the sound doesn't reach its peak until a little later in the clip. This is where we want to place our sync point. So first off, I'm going to go into slip mode so I can put an insertion point here on the clip. If I leave it in grid mode and I try to click here, it'll just put an insertion point right on the grid. So go into slip mode, click here, and then I go up to the clip menu, and it says identify sync point, which basically means insert sync point. Do that, and there's a little arrow. If I don't like where it's placed, I can take the grabber tool and simply move it back and forth. Okay, now that I've done that, I can go back into grid mode, and when I drag this clip, you'll notice that the bar will line up not to the beginning of the clip, but to where that sync point is. And there it is. Okay, it's stamped right to it. I'll zoom back out. Looks like our snare is more aligned with the grid. Let's see if it fits the metronome now. Okay, much better fit. Now when I drag and drop this in grid mode, it will always line up to that sync point and not the beginning of the clip.